Welcome back, everyone, to this week's episode of Chrysalis Effect. I am Monique White, your host, transformation strategist, CEO, and visionary. I am so excited today. Can you believe that this is episode 11? Episode 11. Wow. Who would have thought? I most certainly did not, but I am obedient. I'm obedient to letting you know that it is possible. No matter what you're going through, no matter what it seems, no matter what it feels like, there is an expected end to your transformation season. And here in the Chrysalis Effect, I am focused on encouraging you and giving you the tools and strategies that you need to successfully transform your mind, money, and manifestation. And today, we are going to continue on our discussion or in our discussion with Dr. Saundra Wall Williams on alignment with your divine assignment. Alignment with your divine assignment. By way of recap, Dr. Williams gave us steps 1 and 2 of a 4-step process to coming into alignment with your divine assignment last week. By way of recap, step 1 is recognizing that you have an assignment in every area of your life. And with that, there are seasons for every assignment. You can be in different seasons in your different assignments. And step 2 is making sure that you have a clear plan of focus. Step 2 is clear plan of focus. So today, let's continue on in our discussion and learn steps 3 and 4 of the process of alignment with your divine assignment. Okay, so we got step 1 and step 2. Now we created a clear plan. We're focused with the knowledge and knowing that we need to be a little flexible in that. Where do we go from there? What's step number 3?
Now, step number 3 is one that's kind of a hard one. It's a hard one because this one kind of pulls at your heartstrings when you talk about divine assignment and what is God wanting me to do at this particular time in my life. And that is, who is my assignment? And that is determining who am I called to serve. Now, just like you have an assignment in every area of your life, every assignment has an audience.
Say it again.
Every assignment has an audience. You're doing something for someone in every area of your life. And that someone could be you. That someone could be you, but you're doing something for someone. You know, if you, when you are working on a business, okay, you're serving others. Okay, so you've got to know who are the people that I'm serving in my business. Why am I building this business, and who are the people that I'm serving? You know, when you're in ministry, you know, who has God called me to serve? I tell people all the time, you are not called to serve everybody. True. Okay. We're not called to serve everybody. The only thing that God wants us to do for every single person that we meet is witness, and that's it. Okay, that's what the Gospels tell us. But in terms of building a ministry that's going to serve every single person, that's going to tire you out. So you have to determine, who am I called to serve for this assignment? So going back to the going to school assignment. Okay, if you're saying, okay, in this season, I'm going back to school. I know it's time. I can do it now. The reason I'm going back is because I want a promotion on my job, and that promotion requires me to go back to school. Then who is your assignment? In that case, the assignment is you, because you want to go back to school. Okay. And so now if the assignment is you, that means you got to do some things in the other areas of your life to take care of yourself to make sure you can go back to school. You got to eat right. You got to get your sleep. You got to do all the things that go with taking care of you. And sometimes we don't do that. And then, you know, who is my assignment? Sometimes your assignment could be your family. You know, sometimes like with my dad, my assignment is him, you know, making sure that everything for him, his bills, all those kind of things, everything that he might need, that now he's a big assignment for me. You know, I've got people at church that are a big assignment for me. I have my clients that are my assignment for my business. Okay. I have companies that are they're my assignment, or they're my audience for the assignment for the consulting part of what I do. So every assignment has an audience. And when you determine who that audience is, you won't make the mistake of serving the wrong people or serving the wrong entity. And the reason why that's important is because if you're serving the wrong people, you're going to start trying to provide something for them that you were never meant to provide in the first place. Okay. You can be providing something for a group of people that was never meant to be your assignment or the audience of your assignment, and you're trying to do something for them, but God is saying for you to go to a different place. And the hard part here is releasing that, letting those people go so that you can do the assignment that God has called you to do in that season. It's not that you don't love them anymore. Okay. It's not that you don't love them anymore, but it's that God is calling me to something higher or to something different or to something new. And in order to do that, I've got to release where I am now. And here's the thing that the Lord gave me a revelation about this. When I hold on to an assignment or to an audience of something that I have not been assigned to, then I'm blocking someone else's blessing, because someone else is called to that group now in this season. They can't do what they're supposed to do, what God has given them to do for that audience, because I'm in the way. So when I release myself and say, okay, you know what? This assignment requires me to move on to a different group of people or whatever, to get new acquaintances or new resources or do a different kind of networking, whatever it is, whatever the audience for your assignment is, you must make sure that you know that, so that you can be serving, or you will serve the right group. And then whoever is supposed to serve the people that you are stepping away from, they can now get their blessing, because now they can bless those people that God has called them to serve. You know, it sounds like a lot, but it's really not. It's really flowing in the path of what God wants you to flow in. You know, the Bible says that the steps of a good man are ordered by the Lord. Well, when your steps are ordered by God, he not only orders your steps, but he's also ordering who you're walking towards. He's also ordering who you're walking with. And sometimes we have to be willing to release some things so that God can move us forward.
Right. And so I had two things. Okay. Two things. How do you determine who your audience is? Is number one. So let's start there.
Okay. How do you determine who your audience is? The best way to determine who your audience is to begin to serve in the area where God has placed you. And when I say that is, you will know that a group, an entity, because your audience could be an organization as well. Okay. So a group, an entity, a person, whoever it is, you will know, because who you are and what God has placed inside of you is the answer to a problem that they have. You know who your audience is when you are a solution to that problem that someone else has. Okay. So like when you do coaching, I'm not the coach for everybody. Okay. I'm just not the coach for everybody. You know, if you want to move forward and do ministry, if you want to move forward in your career, if you want to move forward and go higher in leadership, then I'm the coach for you, because what I have is a solution to that struggle that you have. Okay. But if you are like you need a coach for weight loss or health, I'm not the person, because that's not the solution that I provide. Okay. So many times we try to provide solutions, or our audience wants us to provide solutions that we were never meant to be the solution for. That's why it goes back to going back to number one, knowing what your assignment is, because since there's an audience with every assignment, you have to know, okay, this assignment is the solution to what problem, to what struggle, to what issue. And if somebody falls outside of that, they're not the audience for that assignment.
Right. Do you struggle with fear of the future, or with being stressed and overwhelmed? Maybe you're having a hard time moving forward due to lack of discipline and limiting beliefs. Or maybe it's that you don't know where to start and you're afraid you will not overcome your current circumstances to live the life of your dreams. Perhaps you just need a guiding hand to transition into entrepreneurship or to thrive in it. At Triumph Services LLC, we understand all of that, which is why we walk with you and offer the support you need to transform your mind, money, and manifestations to help you achieve your wildest dreams. Our transformational coaching and business consulting services are focused on nurturing the fire and beauty you carry within so that you can make your mark in the world and inspire generations. We want to see you prosper, and we want to see it happen the right way. Schedule a connection call with us by going to bit.ly/evertransform today.
That assignment, and because I thoroughly believe that God made us, God made everybody, so that you are the solution to someone's problem. That's how we witness. Okay. Mm-hmm. All right. We're the solution to people's problems. And when I say we're the solution, that solution could be through coaching. It could be through mentoring. It could be through your business. It could be through something you do on your job. There's many, many different ways that we are solutions to struggles that people have. I mean, some people need someone who is a life coach to help them get through a life situation. Okay. Then, hey, you're the solution to that person's problem in that season. Okay. And when you recognize that and don't take on audiences that don't match your assignment, then again, you'll find yourself staying very focused, having that clarity that you need, and so on.
Right. Which brings me to the second part. Because you may start out with an assignment and mm-hmm. with an audience, and as you said, it shifts. Your season is over. Mm-hmm. How do you know the season's over?
Good question. That's another good question. And let me tell you how I got to the answer to that question. So when I was senior vice president, and I still live by this today, when I was senior vice president, I only did in-depth interviews with people that were reporting to me, because I had to have a level of trust for those people, because I was a senior vice president. I had over 100 people in my organization, and the people that reported to me were running the components of the different components of my organization for community colleges. Okay. Which means that I had to trust them specifically. I had to know they had my back, basically. So I would always ask the question, what would make you leave this job? Other than retirement, okay? All right. Other than retirement, what would make you want to leave this job? And this is the answer. And this is the answer to the question, how do you know how long you stay in an assignment? And that is when you're giving more to the assignment than the assignment is giving to you, then you know it's time for you to move on. Okay. That is that if you are on a job and you're asking yourself, is it time for me to leave this job? You feeling like you're ready to go and you want to know if it's time to leave, then ask yourself, what's the job giving to me? Am I learning? Am I growing? Am I getting professional development? Am I learning new leadership things, leadership skills as a part of this job? If all you're doing is just going to the job every day, day in, day out, you're not learning, you're not growing, it's time to go. Okay, it's time to go. If you're in a relationship, and you're always giving. I'm not talking about those relationships like husband, wife, parent. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about those professional business type relationships where you're giving. Someone's constantly taking from you, but then they're not giving. You're not receiving anything from them in return. And it doesn't have to be money. It could be, how can I say this? It doesn't have to be money. It could be something such as they're helping you to grow, or they're providing you with resources or giving you information that you didn't have before, that sort of thing. So when you give, and the Bible tells us to give, it says gives and it shall be given unto you. But that's the key. When you give, then God is going to make sure things are given back to you. And when you're in alignment, what you have is going to give back to you. You're going to serve that assignment. You're going to do the work of that assignment, whatever it is. But that assignment is also going to give back to you. You're going to learn. You're going to grow. You're going to be able to new doors and new opportunities open. Okay, when you're in alignment with your divine assignment, and that's why that piece of it is so important. So that's why if you're in an audience, and if you're serving an audience, and you're asking yourself, you come home and you're drained, and you're like, oh, I just don't want to go back and work with that group anymore. Then it's time to do some inspection. Am I in alignment? Is this the audience that goes with the assignment? Am I in the right assignment? Doing the right thing in this season in my life? And sometimes we use excuses because of fear, or because we don't want to do the work, because we're comfortable, and I believe that we're in a time that we can no longer be comfortable where we are. We can no longer be comfortable. You have to be willing to do the work, to make some of the sacrifices, to say, you know what? If I want to move up, and this is career, this is life, this is wherever you want to move up. If I want to move up, then I've got to be willing to do something different. I've got to be willing to be uncomfortable, for a while.
Right. It's like I used to tell new nurses, when you get to a point where you're gritting your teeth when you come into work, then it's time for you to move on. It's time for you to look to, a different area, because, we worked in trauma ICU. So it's high stress, high burnout. So when you get to that point, then we need to look at a different area for you. And I actually even think about, when you're talking, I think about my own journey, right? And I knew my assignment was over. I went back to, those of you who don't know, I had gone back to bedside nursing when I had my daughter, because she had some health challenges. Now she grew, she was older, and they were being managed, and there were not so many doctor's appointments, but I'm a daggone good nurse, and I knew it. And I was comfortable. I was comfortable. However, again, it was me pouring out and not being poured into. Being asked to take on this position, this assignment, it was getting to be a lot. And I knew it was time for me to move on. There was no more excuses why I had to stay there and not move up into where he had for me. And, for those of you who haven't experienced it yet, when the Lord wants you to move and you don't move because you're comfortable, because that's all it was for me. It's just I was comfortable. I could do it with my eyes closed, work 2 weeks, live a good life. 2 days a week and live a good life, and not, but when he says move and you don't move, he turns up the fire.
It's hot, doesn't it?
It gets hot. So that's how I knew it was time for me, that my audience was not there anymore. And so it was time for me to leave. But yes, sometimes we get comfortable and we're blocking our blessing, but we're blocking somebody else's blessing, and he can't elevate us if we're stuck in being comfortable.
Right. And don't get comfortable in your divine assignment either. And that's where the key word divine comes in, because you just said it. Because if you get comfortable, because that was your daughter, and that nursing was your assignment for that season. But when it was time for God to elevate you, because you had learned everything you needed to learn in that season, now it's time for you to move up, then he had to turn the heat up a little bit so you'd move. So God doesn't allow, that's one thing I love about the Lord. He doesn't allow us to get comfortable in our divine assignment, because he has, like the Bible says, he has a plan and a purpose for everything. And for the work that we do. So God knew exactly what he wanted you to do, how he wanted you to do it. And so he has to guide you and move you through seasons of your life to get there. But if you get there and you get comfortable, he'll turn up the heat so you have to move. He'll turn he knows the next place. One of my clients is she started out as a teacher, and she loved teaching. She was in high school, math teacher, loved it. But then over the years, things got different. Parents got to be different. Students got to be different. So you talked about coming in, gritting the teeth. And she was like, I just don't feel like going to school anymore. But she still loved nurturing people. And so she took, every community college has this test that they give that says, what's the best career for you? Okay. It's sort of like a career assessment. So she went to a community college. She took that assessment and found out that the place where she should be nursing. Now that was amazing. And so she says, I'm going to go back to school to be a nurse. So she went to school. She went to community college. She got her RN, loved it, and was working on even the long hours or the long days that you all have. She loved it. Then she came back to me. She said, Dr. Saundra, I'm in nursing. Now that I'm in nursing, I see some of the different areas I can go. So I want to do this. But I'm not sure if now is the time because I've got my child. I've got 2 kids. At that time, she had 2 kids in school. I've got my child, she was going through a divorce at that time. So I'm not sure if this is the time for it. So we sat down, we mapped out her seasons. We looked at her assignment in every area of her life. The clear plan of focus at that time was going to be, she's got her nursing degree. Now should she go on to get her BSc and her Bachelor of Science in Nursing? And we looked at it and we said, okay, you can't do it right now, but maybe in a couple of months. So she used that couple of months to determine, okay, what can she do? What does she need to do? And then in a couple of months, hey, she got accepted into a Bachelor of Nursing program. So she did that, got a promotion on her job. And then she started being, I think it's called an OR. I'm not sure the right term, but it's an OR nurse, the one that assists the anesthesiologist. Okay.
Yes. A certified nurse anesthetist. Yeah.
Something like that. I don't know. But then she realized, wait a minute, there's even more now that I'm at this level. Okay. And there's even more that after she worked there for a couple of years, there's even more. So now she wants to do a business around nursing. So now she's going back to get her MBA. But again, she repeated the process. She said, okay, to be in alignment, making sure that going back to get this MBA is in alignment with the divine assignment that God has on my life. She looked at her seasons. She defined her assignments. She had a clear focus. She made sure that the audience that she was to serve, is this who she's going to be serving? Because the people she serves now are different. Her kids are older, her divorce is final and all that. Those things are different. So when you are in alignment with your divine assignment, not only will you see things lined up and things falling into place, but you'll also see God elevating you, because he's not going to leave you in that same position forever and ever and ever. He has more work for you to do at higher levels.
Right. And that I love that. I love that part about it. And so sometimes there is no staying on the same level. There is no staying in the same place. It's always moving you forward, elevating you, enlarging your territory. So now we determined who our audience is. Now, what's step 4? What comes after that?
At Triumph Services LLC, we believe that you don't have to live broke, busted, and disgusted. You don't have to stay stuck and stagnant. You were created for more. Call today to learn how at 301-259-1623. That number again is 301-259-1623.
Step 4, the last step, and the easiest step to do, but one of the hardest steps to implement, is identifying your distractions and hindrances and then setting boundaries. So step number 4 is identifying your distractions, your hindrances, and then setting your boundaries. Distractions are those things that you don't have control over. These are things that are outside of you. Okay. A distraction could be like the pandemic. I mean, you don't want to say it was a distraction, but you had no control over it, and it distracted and disrupted a lot of things in our homes, in our household. Hindrances are those things about you that won't let you move forward. Okay. Hindrances are things like you think you're not good enough, or I don't have what it takes to be able to do this, or I'm not pretty enough, or whatever it is, or, I need to lose weight, or I don't have the smarts to go back to school. That's a hindrance. That's self-imposed. That's something that you put on yourself. But setting boundaries is determining what you're going to allow in your space.
Mm-hmm.
Setting boundaries, to make it very simple, setting boundaries to say what I'm going to say yes to and what I'm going to say no to. And how am I going to allow other people to treat me? Okay. Because when you're in alignment with your divine assignment, you have to say no to some things that you may like to do or may be good, but you have to ask yourself, is it really God? Because if you say yes to some things that are it's not really a God thing for your life, that becomes a distraction. And it's going to distract you and take you away from the work and the audience that God has really, really wants you to be working in this season in your life. So setting boundaries is so very important. I tell people all the time, no is a complete sentence. Learn to say it.
Yes, indeed.
When you learn to say no, it frees you up in so many areas of your life. You feel like you can actually do some things because I've said no. I've had to turn down clients because I know they weren't the right type of client for me. I knew I wouldn't be a good service to them. I make sure that if something is a distraction, the things that I can't do anything about, and I can't do anything about those. But when something becomes a distraction, and I recognize, sometimes you don't recognize distractions until they disrupt what's going on in your life. Okay. Mm-hmm. And then when you trace it back and you're like, how did I get to this point? Then you realize you accepted something, or you said yes to something, and that's moved you away from where it is that God would really have you working in this season. That's why it's so important to identify them and then set boundaries so that you can stay on the path of that clear plan of focus that we talked about in step number 2. Because distractions and hindrances will pull you away from the focus that we talked about in step number 2. And it'll pull you away from the audience. Because sometimes, people will say, well, come over here. I want you to speak to this group. And well, that's not a group that you need to be speaking to. Okay. But you go do it anyway. And you use up all this time and this effort doing all this work to speak to that group. And then you get frustrated because now you're behind. You're behind in other areas. Okay. One of the things that when I was working on my doctorate degree, my the chair of my doctoral committee, she said, after your first semester, I'll give you your first semester in your doctoral career. After that first semester, every class you take, everything that you do should be towards that dissertation. And her name was Dr. Scipio A.J. Colon III. And I said, Dr. Colon, what do you mean? She said, did you not understand me? Everything that you do, every paper you write, every assignment, every assignment should be towards the dissertation, so that when you finish all your classes, you have everything that you need for those first 3 chapters of your dissertation. As a matter of fact, she told me when I started, by the time that you finish your classwork, you'll have the proposal for your dissertation ready. Now, of course, I could not see that. Mm-hmm. I couldn't see that because, I'm just starting. But I followed her instructions. If a class or a paper that I maybe wanted to do that I was interested in, if it did not map back to my dissertation somehow, then I didn't write on that topic. I wrote on what my dissertation, the context of my dissertation. Now, when I got to the point where I was almost done with my classes, maybe I had 1 class left, it dawned on me. Every assignment that I did, I made sure that it fed into my dissertation. Now that I'm almost done, I'm through with what a lot of people take another year to do because they didn't have that focus. So now if you go back to being in alignment with your divine assignment, every assignment that you have feeds back into purpose. Every assignment feeds back into vision. Every assignment feeds back into what God has for you to do. And when you do that and you stay on that track, when you keep that focus, when you set those boundaries and don't say yes to things you should say no to, then when you get to a point that, okay, my time and my assignment here is over, you know that you've done everything you're supposed to do, so you can move on with a clear conscience. If it's time for you to leave a job, if it's time for you to leave a relationship, if it's time for you to move on to the next, when you do everything that you're supposed to do, because you know that you've been in alignment, you've done the work, you know what you're supposed to do, you can leave with a clear conscience. And you'll still have friendships, and those things don't get lost, because the people understand that you've done all the work you can do here. Your assignment here is over. Now it's time for you to move on to your next. And so many of us get distracted. So many of us hinder ourselves, and we don't set boundaries, and that keeps us in a place. And again, what do you get? You get frustrated, you get overwhelmed, and you never get that assignment complete. Some people wonder why they can't get debt free. It's because things that you can't afford distract you.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And that's a part of your finance life. I believe that everyone should be debt free. Everybody should. When my husband and I got completely debt free with our house and everything, now we pay cash for everything, including our cars. He's out looking for my son a car now, and he's got a plan of focus. Again, this is a repeatable thing. He's got a plan of focus. It can only cost X amount of dollars. If it costs over that, even $1,000, I'm like, Dennis, just $1,000, no, I'm staying on the path. And I know that eventually he'll get exactly what he's looking for. But when you do that, it doesn't matter what area of your life it is. When you stay on focus, when you know who you're assigned to and that audience, and you're working that assignment for that particular audience, when you identify your distractions and your hindrances and know what they are, eliminate those, and you set boundaries around your life, then you will see yourself accomplishing what it is that you want to accomplish. I have a class that's called this Alignment with Your Divine Assignment. And it's not really a class, it's really a coaching program, but where we work with women to actually do just that. And it amazes me, those who see it through to the end, where they are at the end. Sometimes I look on Facebook and I'm like, okay, she's going after that job, but she can do it now because she knows where she is. She's starting that ministry. And then this one lady took a picture, and I just thought it was I almost cried when I looked at it. She had all these journals packed up, and there were all these little pieces of paper, and all the papers were numbered. She had gone through all the journals, and those numbers reference the paragraphs that are in the book now that she can write, because she's in alignment with her divine assignment. So, being in alignment with your divine assignment doesn't mean you're going to stop everything that you're going to do. It means that everything that you're doing is in alignment with what God wants you to do in this season in your life.
Love it. Love it. Thank you so much, Dr. Saundra. Everyone, I hope you caught all of the nuggets that she dropped today. Download this episode so you have it readily available if you need to listen to it again. We have been talking with Dr. Saundra Wall Williams about operating in alignment with your divine assignment. And she gave us 4 steps. Clarity, and she talked about clarity and focus, but step 1 was to recognize your divine assignment. And within that, recognizing that every area has its own assignment. Step 2 was create a plan and focus. Step 3 was determine who you are called to serve, that every assignment has an audience. And lastly, identify distractions and setting boundaries. No is a complete sentence. No is a complete sentence. Thank you so much, Dr. Saundra. Where can people go if they want to connect with you, if they want to secure your services or see your offerings? Where can they go to find you?
Well, first, I invite everyone to go to drsaundraspeaks.com, drsaundraspeaks.com. Dr. Saundra Speaks is all one word, and then .com, and give me your email and get on my email list, because then you're connected directly to me. Every email that comes to me, I read, because you're emailing me. You're not emailing my team, you're emailing me. So I make sure that I read them. So drsaundraspeaks.com, that's one way. Then I also invite you, if you're on Facebook, to join our Facebook group called Vision Building Women. Vision Building Women. And in there, we talk about everything that you need to help to build you and to help you execute that vision, including some of the topics that we talked about today.
All right. Wonderful. Wonderful. Connect with Dr. Saundra, you all. Thank you so much for joining us today. Again, I am Monique White, and this has been the Chrysalis Effect. And thank you for allowing us into your space. And we will see you right back here next week. Take care, everyone. Bye-bye.